All right, welcome back to this week's series on Guided by Faith, where we are laying out the case for life. We're helping you in case somebody gives you difficult questions regarding whether abortion is a viable alternative, whether abortion is something that should be allowed. What should a Christian think about abortion? Should we have any opinion on somebody else's right or ability to choose something? And so over the last couple of days, we've tried to really lay out the case that when a woman is pregnant, she is pregnant with a human being, not a potential human being, but a little human being. The fact that embryo is not a blob of tissue that becomes a human being. An embryo is a human being. A fetus is just a Latin term for little one or offspring. And a fetus is just a stage of being a human being, just like toddler is the stage of being a human being. And so with that in mind, one of the ways that you can respond, we're going to walk through today, is just kind of this little method called Trot Out the Toddler. And so Proverbs 15, chapter 1 says, "A gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger." And so one of the things that we want to do as we interact with people and as we talk with people is we don't want to get into heated debates. And I got to admit, when I was in high school, we used to have this current events debate on Fridays at our school, and we would talk about hot topics, and we would talk about abortion sometimes. And I feel like my position has not changed. I knew that, everyone in the womb was a human being, was a baby, and they deserved to be protected. But my goal was to just stump them and win an argument and look smart and make them look stupid. And I never won a single person. I might have won an argument. I maybe did not, but I didn't win any people. And so what I want to do is just give you some questions that you can respond with, some ways of conversing that hopefully are a little more gentle and get people the ability to think. And so first off, if somebody gives you that question, how do you have any right to say what a woman does with her body? I think one of the first responses is to lay out the case. Well, I feel firmly convicted that it is a human being in the woman's body. So even though the woman has rights, and the woman, like a woman's life matters very, very much, so does the life that's in her womb, because I believe it's a human being. And you could ask them a question like, well, when do you think a child becomes a human being? Like, when in a pregnancy does a child become a human being? And it's interesting because people have all kinds of conversations, all kinds of thoughts on this. Some will say when they have brain waves, some will say when they have a heartbeat. But I think you can say scientifically, it's classified as a human being from the moment of conception. So I believe in science. So I'm going along with science on here, that it's a human being from that point. And so if it's a human being, then I, want to treat it as I would a toddler. And so this is where you trot out the toddler. So you could take a toddler. You could take like a 10-month-old, which doesn't really toddle, a 1-year-old, a 1.5-year-old, and you can respond with, okay, if it's a human being, then does your argument hold weight if it's a human, if it's a toddler we're talking about, instead of a baby in a womb, a toddler? Because if the baby in the womb is a human being and the toddler is a human being, do these apply? So for instance, a woman has a moral right to decide what to do with her body. That seems like a good, strong argument. And in some senses it is, but does that apply for a toddler? Like, does a woman... Let me tell you something. I have 4 children. I have a wife, a great wife who has raised these kids, and it has taken a toll on her body, not just in pregnancy, but to raise toddlers, to care for toddlers, to feed them. And a question would be, well, does a woman have a right to end the life of a toddler if it's affecting her body? And everybody would say no. That's murder, right? That's infanticide. A question that, or a statement, the right to abortion is vital for individual women to achieve their full potential. It's like, that sounds good because we want women to fulfill their full potential. We can disagree on what our full potential is. And even truthfully, that disagreement doesn't matter, because the question would be the same. Well, does a woman have the right, does anybody have the right to end the life of a 1-year-old if that 1-year-old is getting in the way of them achieving their full potential? Like it's going to set them back career-wise, finance-wise, time-wise. Nobody has a right to end the life of a 1-year-old because it might affect their potential. You just can't do that. Why? Because that's murder. And so in the same way, my question is, if it doesn't work for a 1-year-old human being, why would it work for a human being that just hasn't passed through a birth canal yet? A woman, next one, a woman has a right to choose what happens to her body. And I know this is difficult, and I know I'm a man, and I know people could say, well, how could you possibly say anything about this? Because there's another body involved. There's another human body involved. And you talk to any mother that I know of in existence, and they will say that it's not just during pregnancy, but it is also during those early childhood years and middle childhood years and on, that a child definitely wears and tears on their body. But nobody would be able to say, well, you could end the life of a 1-year-old person because it's affecting the mother's body. You can't do that because, again, that's murder, and murder is illegal, and it's wrong, and it's immoral. So there's a human being with a body involved before it's born as well. And so we want to be protective of that. There's one about circumstances. A woman may not be ready to have a child due to her age or her work circumstances or her family life. And that sounds like a good argument, except can you make that argument about a 1-year-old? If you're taking care of a 1-year-old and you realize you're too young, or that you don't have enough money work-wise, or your family circumstance isn't great, can you end the life of that 1-year-old? And the answer is no, you cannot. And so these are just that simple trot out the toddler. If you've established that a baby is a human being in the womb, then it's just a matter of like, well, shouldn't a human being in the womb have the same kind of right to life that a 1-year-old does? It's a simple argument. I think it's an effective argument. But again, ask it in a curious way, not in a gotcha way, because ultimately you want to win people and not just an argument. You want to debate ideas, but not demonize people, because people are made in the image of God and people need to be won to Jesus. And so hopefully this discussion can be one of those that you can do. I hope this is helpful. Tomorrow we'll give you some more equipment in how you would talk and respond. But again, we do it with a gentle answer in love because we care about all people.